So this poor little head of lettuce here, I couldn't figure out why it was looking so limp. It hasn't been chewed off at the stem or anything like that, and it's watered. It's wet underneath there. It's too hot. It's too hot where it is. So I will remember that and not plant lettuce. I'm going to let it recover this evening, and then I think I'm going to pluck it once it starts looking a little refreshed this evening when it's out of the heat. Shouldn't be long, another hour or so, but yeah, no more planting lettuce in this bed, that's for sure. So I've started cutting back the peas, and I've made the decision that I probably won't grow shelling peas again because they're a pain in the patootie, and we don't like them particularly. I mean, we don't use them much. I throw them into salad now and then, but I would rather just grow peas that I can still eat the skins or the shells or whatever, even if they get to be a little bit large. Like these ones here, I've left a few on here to grow for seed. But yeah, I'm only going to grow, and then I left those down there, and I'll dig those in the fall, and they can just rot in place. And apparently they are nitrogen fixers, so those will fix up my nitrogen. And then this poor little pepper is getting lost. Oh, it has a nice red pepper over there on the side. Look at that beauty. But it's getting lost. Look at this. It's trying to stretch up and reach some light. So I'm going to move it as well and get it somewhere where it can get some more light. But I'm not going to do it in this scorching heat. So yeah, I'm going to get out of the heat for now, and I'll come and do that a little later today. The ground cherry is much happier in this cooler spot. It's turning a lovely green again. Well, look at the size of some of those ground cherries on there. They're getting to be a nice size. These little ones that are falling off are not a very good size. This, in the middle of my path, is a ground cherry. I'm pretty sure of it. I kind of recognize the plant itself, and I know that I dropped ground cherries all along this path last fall when I was clearing things out. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that is. I'm gonna just leave it there, and we're gonna see what happens. So here is my garlic I bought from a store and started late in the season, and I think it looks pretty ready to come out of the ground, even though I never did get any scapes on here. It's starting to die off down at the bottom. You can see that the first 5 or 6 little fronds have died off at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and dig this out, and then we'll be processing garlic later today or tomorrow. There we go. 4 little cloves from store-bought garlic. They're pretty tiny. I'm hoping that I'm getting a good view on the camera. Anyway, now this bed needs to be refreshed. Look at how old this dirt is. I've grown garlic in here. I've been letting it dry because I knew I was going to harvest my garlic, but yeah, it needs to all be dug out and refreshed. So here's my little pumpkin, and I pulled back the straw that was on that, underneath that stalk, and I covered it in a whole bunch of dirt and compost and made a big pile. And then I put my straw back down on it, and it does seem to be much happier than it was. It's not as droopy. And if you look over here, this one here doesn't have a pumpkin on it yet, but look at how nice and green the leaves are getting on this, and it's bright and perky again. And I can't believe I'm growing straw, for crying out loud. I'll have to do a video of it. Well, there, look, see, there's some of the straw that I'm growing. This is supposed to be from the seedless, chopped up straw that you can purchase that is not supposed to go to seed like this. And I tell you what, this one batch that I got certainly is going to seed all over the place. Look and see how the watermelon is doing. It's just a little teensy tiny thing. This one here looks like, I don't know if you can even pick it up in the camera. There it is. It got eaten. And then we had another one pop up here just the other day. So we'll see what happens. And then we've got one over here that has still survived and is plugging along. Oh, and it looks like we might have one right there as well. Cool. Okay, so we've got some basil coming up. Genovese, which is probably my favorite. Sweet basil, Thai basil, and holy basil. And some weeds. Oh, and here's another of Mom's spies, a little ladybug that, you know, you would think it was harmless, but honestly, it is hot and sweaty out here. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna sit down for a few minutes. Let that breeze do its work on me. So here is my learning / teaching tip for today. So this tomatillo is getting huge. I had no idea how big a tomatillo could be. But look at how big this thing is. So I am thinking that just like I did with my ground cherry, I can maybe stop some of the growth of this so that it starts putting its energy to setting the fruit that's on it instead of growing more greenery. So I am going to come in here and I'm going to cut off a few of these stalks here. And yeah, then we'll see what happens, I guess.
Well, I'll just leave.
No, you just stay right there.
No.
I'll only be a second. So I told Nomi there that he had to stay in that spot for the rest of the summer so we could see him compared to the giant beans behind him. Because that will make a lovely comparison shot. Speaking of beans, as I get older, I get more self-aware. And I was thinking about picking those beans tonight, but when I pick the beans, I want them to go straight to the canner. And I know that if I pick those beans tonight, they are not going into the canner tonight. So I'm gonna try and get up in the morning. I'm gonna try and get up in the morning. Don't choke there, Dave.
Over here. I swallowed wrong.
I'm gonna get up in the morning and come out here and pick those beans tomorrow morning and get them straight into the canner, because I think that I have enough for a canner load. I mean, my canner is small. It's small batch canning for sure. I can only get 4 pint jars in there, but you know, 4 pint jars is 4 pint jars, and I think I'll be doing some canning tomorrow. Stay tuned. And one more thing before I head in. Look at that beauty. Ah, I'm so excited. Yes, that is a beautiful looking tomato, and I cannot wait to dig into it. Oh, and I moved this poor pepper plant. I took all the peas out of here. These were the ones that I didn't care for. I left the roots in the ground. They can rot over the winter. And then I moved this poor pepperoncini from the other side. Look how far it's stretching up to try to get some light. So it should get much better light over on this side of these giant. They were supposed to be small bush plants, but they are not small bush plants. They are giant bush plants. Anyway, these little bush tomatoes. Now this is what I was expecting when they said bush tomato, right? This is still producing, and look, it's still flowering. So it might be a determinate bush tomato, but it keeps on giving. And look at this one over here. This is just covered in tomatoes. My gosh, I'm gonna have tomatoes coming out of my ears. What am I gonna do with all these tomatoes? Everything is just looking so healthy. This, I've discovered, is celeriac. See that bulb down there? I'm pretty sure that is celeriac. Just like I'm pretty sure that is celery. So, I had those backwards. But that one over there I know for sure is celery. The big one, look at how tall this is getting. Look. So I know it's... Here's my camera. So it's pretty tall. Yeah. Look at that, it's covered in tomatoes too. Just covered. I love it. And they just look they all look so good. No sign of any kind of blossom end rot. Which I really attribute to that boost of calcium when I plant them. Look at all the peppers on these. Look at this little guy. Yeah, these are just covered in paprika peppers. There is nothing better in this world than a tomato straight from the garden. Honestly, that is so good. I don't even like to buy tomatoes anymore in the store. I'm going to grow these little, that's what they are, is these little bush tomatoes here. I'm going to grow those in my house over the winter. What do you think of that? They are so good. So good. So back to my teaching moment. Here's how these look after you can see I've chopped off a few of these to stop them from growing, and I'm hoping that these branches now will start to set that fruit instead of growing. We'll see. I don't know. I've never grown tomatillos before, so I don't really know what to expect. If you have, you can tell me whether or not my tomatillos look good, or I thought they looked a little spindly, so I'm not 100% sure on them. I would love any tips that you have. That'd be super helpful. And I think that's it for me in the garden today. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. I hope I haven't bored you too much with my rambling on about my garden. Did I mention that you should subscribe? It's free. It's always free to subscribe to my channel, and I would really appreciate it if you do. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Sometimes this stuff is only interesting to me, but I hope that it'll be kind of interesting to you as well. I do want to thank you for coming and hanging out with me today, because you know that I appreciate every single minute that you spend with me. And I love having you to talk to about my gardening stuff, because nobody else in my house actually cares about the garden. David does a fabulous job with building the beds and you know, hauling the dirt for me and all that kind of stuff, but he's not that interested in what's growing or what's going on with it. And so I'm glad that I have you guys to share that with. And so for Shed Wars 21, I love you guys. I love all of you. And I'm going to be doing a shout out video for all of you who have helped me get to where I am in my channel, because I really appreciate all of you. And I'm going to say goodbye. And I'm going to say take care of yourself. I will see you soon. Bye now.